Ahoy there, this is Derek, the Convicted Cinephile, and if you're a convicted cinephile yourself, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel down below. On my channel, I like to talk, shop, and pop open, that is, movies and physical media. And the Oscar nominations are out, and I'm going to go through what I believe are a few of the biggest snubs and biggest shocks of this morning. Stay tuned.
Talk, shop, pop, movies.
Let's get into what I think were some of the biggest snubs of this morning. Honestly, one of the biggest ones to me personally, and this is obviously all opinion based on things I've seen and what I like, was Alexander Payne missing from the Best Director list at the Oscars. He made it in at BAFTA and at the Directors Guild. I thought he was pretty safe. Alexander Payne has always gotten in for Best Director anytime one of his movies was nominated for Best Picture. Just all that put together made me think he was pretty safe. I was surprised he missed. He was the second most likely to miss out of the ones that I thought would get in. The one that everyone is going to say is the most shocking that missed is Greta Gerwig for Barbie. I didn't predict her. I thought she was going to get snubbed. I had Jonathan Glazer in, who got in, expectedly so, instead of her. It was just a hunch I had, honestly. She did not get in at BAFTA, but she did get in the DGA, so she had a slightly less chance than Alexander Payne. Let's put it that way. Too bad for her she didn't get in. I'm seeing a lot of people whining that she didn't get in, but more the bigger snub from Barbie, I would say, is Margot Robbie for lead actress. Once again, I'm not 100% shocked she missed, like 90%, and that's only because she made it in at every precursor and then ended up missing at the Oscars still. That's why it's surprising to me. The fact that an actress playing the role of Barbie in a Barbie movie not being nominated for acting awards, especially the Oscars, that doesn't surprise me. It's just, it's more statistically, it's shocking. So those are some of the bigger shocks. Like I said, I saw a lot of people complaining about Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie not being nominated and Ryan Gosling getting nominated, and that being like literally the plot of the Barbie movie, which I thought was kind of a funny thing to say, but it's also very ignorant because that person obviously doesn't look at what nominees are, because Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie were nominated today, just not for the things you expect, I guess, or the things you think they should have been. Greta Gerwig was nominated for Adapted Screenplay, expectedly so. Margot Robbie was nominated, but for producing in Best Picture, so they still got nominated. No need to bitch and moan about them not being nominated. Maybe they weren't nominated where you wanted them to get nominated, but they were nominated nonetheless. Please stop complaining. That's all I'm saying. The directing list is an outstanding one. The Best Picture nominees were predictable by the end of it. I went 10 for 10, and so did everybody else. But Best Director, we had a sort of surprise. It wasn't that surprising because it's a Best Picture nominee, and then she got it at BAFTA. But Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall getting in was a nice quasi-surprise. Out of the 5 that did get in, that was the most surprising to me. But I'm glad for her. That is very cool. And there is still a female nominee in the category, so that is nice to see. In the acting categories, there were a couple of surprises. Best Actor went as chalk as possible. I'm not even going to talk about that. It went 5 for 5 with what I and everybody else was expecting. Best Actress, like I said, Margot Robbie missing for presumably Annette Bening was pretty surprising at this point in the race, but given who Annette Bening is, it's not that surprising. Annette Bening has been nominated now 5 times. She's never won, sadly. But she's not going up against Hilary Swank, so maybe she has a chance. But anyways, that is not a shocking nomination. She got in at SAG, which means she's strong. She missed at BAFTA because NIAD's weak overall. It only got 2 nominations, and we'll get to the other one here in a second. Other than that, the other 4 I expected to get in. It was really just that 5th slot, and I thought it was between Margot Robbie and Annette Bening. So one of the 2 I expected got in. It was just the one that I thought had a lesser chance of. Best Actor in a Supporting Role. It was nice to see Sterling K. Brown get in. I haven't seen American Fiction yet, but he looks like a really fun performance in the movie from the trailer. He's an amazing actor who I've always liked, so it's cool to see him get his first Oscar nomination. Willem Dafoe got bumped, presumably for him. For Poor Things, Mark Ruffalo still got in despite winning, or despite missing, excuse me, BAFTA and SAG. I actually just got back from finally seeing Poor Things like an hour ago, and I thought they were both fantastic. I actually really liked Willem Dafoe in the movie, so if he would have gotten in, I would have been happy with that. Mark Ruffalo is hilarious. He is different than anything you've ever seen him in, so I like that about it. And they're both solid supporting performances. As far as snubs go, I would say the biggest snub in this category, because he's basically all but ignored the last few weeks, is Charles Melton for May December. I thought this was a really good movie. I was happy it got in for that one screenplay nomination, but Charles Melton would have been a very deserving nominee. If he would have gotten in over any of these guys, maybe give or take a Robert Downey Jr., who I think is just going to steamroll the whole season, it would have been a worthy nomination. So he's the real supporting actor snub, in my opinion, is Charles Melton. In supporting actress, that was kind of a up in the air couple of slots here. There was three definite getting in. Divine Joy Randolph, who is, once again, like Robert Downey Jr., just going to steamroll the season, it seems like. Daniel Brooks has gotten in everywhere, has no reason to miss, is the lone nomination for Color Purple, which is too bad for that film, but given the nominations, I'm not really mad about it, honestly. And Emily Blunt finally getting her first Oscar nomination for Oppenheimer is awesome to see. America Ferrera managed to squeak in at the last second despite missing SAG and BAFTA. She only got in a Critics' Choice. It happens. She got in at the Oscars mostly on that that monologue scene, I would imagine, which is a fantastic scene, so I'm not going to poo-poo that part. There was a few people who could have taken that slot, like a Penelope Cruz, who I had in just for shits and giggles. Jodie Foster did get that other slot for Naiad. Jodie Foster's always strong, and in the supporting categories, it's a little easier to sneak in for a movie like this that's not getting overwhelming support. But it does make me need to see Naiad a little bit sooner, because I want to see it if two actresses are both nominated for it. I don't think either of them has a chance to win, to be honest, but it's nice to see them. I love Jodie Foster, who doesn't, but I would have liked to see Julianne Moore for May December yet again get in over America Ferrera if I had to pick one, of at least of the ones I've seen. I thought she was fantastic. She's always fantastic in everything she's in, Julianne Moore. I wouldn't say there's a definite snub in this category. It's more just like the surprise of America Ferrera making it in. Best director, we kind of already went over. Justy Triet was sort of the surprise getting in over Greta Gerwig and or Alexander Payne. The screenplay categories literally went 5 for 5 with my predictions, I believe, on both categories. But I would say it is still surprising that Killers of the Flower Moon missed, but I'm not surprised at all that Zone of Interest took its place. A nice surprise for me personally was The Holdovers getting in for editing. I didn't have it in for editing, I believe. I had it in for director instead, but it shows how strong it is. Editing is a massive category to get into. If your movie can get into editing, you have a good chance of being able to win Best Picture. In theory, it's the strongest tech category there is, in my opinion, and usually statistically speaking, it is. It's hard to win Best Picture without at least an editing nomination. That's kind of the rule of thumb here. So Holdovers getting in there gives me some hope that it's a underdog Best Picture winner, assuming Oppenheimer doesn't just destroy the whole season. If there's a little front runner fatigue that happens, maybe someone will look somewhere else, and that somewhere else might be The Holdovers. The biggest snub of the entire show, to me, was in Best Original Score, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse being snubbed despite having gotten into every precursor so far, was replaced by another John Williams because he's John Williams nomination for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. This really pissed me off. If you watch my live reaction I did this morning, I curse John Williams and then immediately say how much I love him, which is true, because I'm super pissed at this nomination and what it snubbed, especially. Like, if American Fiction would have not gotten in and Spider-Man still would have gotten in or something like that, I would have been as mad. If Zone of Interest would have been the thing to bump Spider-Man out instead of Indiana Jones, I wouldn't have been as mad. It's just this movie that didn't get in anywhere, that a lot of people really don't like. It didn't even get into visual effects. Magically gets into Best Score because it's John Williams, and that's bullshit to me. Another shocking miss was in the song category with Rustin's song by Lenny Kravitz. I knew both Barbie songs would get in. I knew the Diane Warren song would get in because it's Diane Warren. But the shocking addition here would be the song from Killers of the Flower Moon, the song for My People. I had no inkling that that would get in whatsoever, and that got in over Road to Freedom from Rustin, even though that's gotten in everywhere. So that was a shocking snub and a shocking surprise in the same category right there. Another shock was not necessarily Ninja Turtles missing, but Robot Dreams, despite being snubbed everywhere else, getting in. It won. I can't think of the award. I said it during my live stream. There was a specific award that every year an animated film won this award. It ended up being nominated at the Oscars, but this one had the hiccup of not having been nominated anywhere else up until this point, yet it still managed to get nominated at the Oscars. The Ninja Turtles was kind of on the bubble regardless. I'm kind of surprised Robot Dreams came out of nowhere and shocked in this category. Another shocking snub would be in the international film category, The Taste of Things from France, which was France's mistake of a submission into this category. They should have submitted Anatomy of a Fall. It got nominated for Best Picture and Director and Screenplay and damn near everything else it needed to. It would have won in this category had it been eligible, but they decided to do The Taste of Things instead, which looks like a very pretty movie. I actually saw the trailer for it ahead of Poor Things this afternoon, but it looks like the most late 90s Harvey Weinstein Oscar bait movie you could imagine. Like, it's like Chocolat 2. It's like, it has the same actress and it's a movie about food. It just looks like Chocolat 2. So that's all I can think about that. Perfect Days was always in the mix. Zone of Interest is going to win. Io Capitano. I didn't predict it, I don't think, but I'm not surprised because it got the Globe. Society of the Snow, I expected to get in. But The Teacher's Lounge, one I had heard nothing about other than it being in the shortlist, got in over The Taste of Things. So surprising that a movie that I've heard essentially nothing about so far this year got in over the one that's been talked about due to its fact that it shouldn't really be in this category because Anatomy of a Fall should have been instead. So that is my personal opinion on what the actual shocks and snubs are. A lot of people will overemphasize the whole Greta Gerwig, Margot Robbie thing, but like I said, they did get nominated. They just didn't get nominated for acting and directing. They are Oscar nominees, both of them, and they already were. So hurrah for both of them. They got in. It sucks they didn't get in where they missed, but it's not like they got snubbed for terrible things. I like everything. I like pretty much all these nominations, to be honest, except for that one fucking John Williams Indiana Jones nomination. I have no problem with the rest of these. That's the only one that like legitimately pisses me off. And I love John Williams. Who doesn't? He doesn't need a 54th Oscar nomination for a fifth Indiana Jones movie nobody likes for a score that's similar to one he didn't even win for 43 years ago. That is my thought on the shocks and snubs and surprises of the 2024 Oscar nominees. I'll be back with a few more Oscarology-esque videos on this year's nominees. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Talk, shop, pop, movies.